Well, this story is about a young Haitian male who was consumed with a desire to have an ex-girlfriend back in his life. Well, there's this young guy, well-groomed, came up in a pretty much a good family, church boy. And for some apparent reason, he found a lot of things that kind of broke his belief in the tradition of Christianity. And he went on his path to search and look to find out if there was something else other than what he believed in prior. So this guy searched and searched and searched. He found himself dabbling in witchcraft. So anyhow, this young guy is out pretty much looking for a job, looking for an employment. And he happened to meet someone. And this individual hired him because he had a martial arts background. He was pretty much a good stand-up martial artist as well as a ground fighter, pretty much versed in submission wrestling. So they hired him to be a personal trainer for MMA. So while this young Haitian guy happened to be at the gym one day, the owner actually walks in. The person who hired him was pretty much an assistant. Well, I wouldn't say assistant. I would say the person who hired the guy was more of like a business partner of the owner of the gym. So the business partner left him to be with the owner for a bit. And the owner saw that this young guy who was hired had a very interesting book with him. I think it was called The Magical Oils, the Green Book, the very classical green book that most people know about. I think it's, essential oils or something like that. And it has like a bunch of bottles on there. So the owner of the store starts talking to him, and you can see the suspicion in his eyes because he knows what the book is. And the owner starts talking about sorcery. But the young Haitian guy who was hired, he's looking at the owner like, you're asking questions, but these are not questions that normal people would ask. So he started questioning if the owner knew anything about sorcery. So anyhow, the owner and this new employee become great friends, best of friends. Start opening up and talking about certain things. And the new employee found an interest in talking about occult things with the owner of the gym. So the owner of the gym started opening up and telling him more about his lifestyle and how he's a practitioner, things was passed down from his grandmother. And from there on, they just started becoming the best of friends. So one day, the employee gets into a fucking jam with his new girlfriend. He reaches out to the gym owner and tells him about the situation. The gym owner says, "Hey, I could possibly help you with that." The gym owner recommends him to go get this powder. And he says he used this on exes in the past. And they came back, with what some would call a Jones, or, in desperation. So the guy is like, okay, all right, well, I'll go get this powder, man. Okay. So the new employee goes and get this powder, purchases it whatsoever. And he follows the instructions which the owner of the gym gave to him. Followed instructions to the T. Now all of a sudden, the fucking guy starts fucking bugging. He's like, oh my God, it was almost like this guy became a fucking fiend, you know? So he calls the owner up like, I don't know, man. Where's this girl at, man? When do you think she's gonna come? You know, like it wasn't even an hour. This guy started tweaking. He started fucking bugging. Call the gym owner up. When do you think she's gonna come back? When do you think she's gonna come back? You know, get off the phone. Then a couple of minutes later, the guy calls back the owner. Like, yeah, man, I really miss her, man. I really miss her. It's almost as though he couldn't stop thinking about his ex that he broke up with. It's almost as if the guy could not sleep. He could not rest. He could not eat. It was as if every movement, every muscle in his body yearned for his ex-girlfriend to be present in his life. So while he was under the influence, he calls his ex-girlfriend up. His ex-girlfriend says she doesn't want to see him. Stop calling her. He gets off the phone. He calls her back again. She yells at him. He doesn't call her anymore. He begins to break down and cry. He just can't stop thinking about his ex. He's bugging, he's jonesing, he's tossing and turning. He doesn't know what to do with himself. So he calls back his friend. And his friend says, I think something's wrong with you. And he starts laughing. The employee's like, why are you laughing? He says, because it happened to him. The batch was fucked up. Something was wrong with the batch of what he received. And because it wasn't made right, it turned, the batch that he was using to conjure his spirit back into his life, his lover back into his life, it was wrong. So because it was made wrong, instead of it drawing the lover back into his life, it basically made the person who was using it obsessive. It made them very crazy. It made them into a freaking maniac. So the owner of the gym starts laughing in hysteria. He falls out from his chair laughing hard, to the point where his stomach, he just felt like, he couldn't even breathe as hard as he was laughing at the young man. So anyhow, the owner of the store says, you know what? I'm gonna help you remove this. Whatever it is on you, I'm gonna help you cleanse this off of you. So anyhow, the owner gives them something to remove that spirit that was making them obsessive and crazy, and it was like a relief. When that guy, it was relief. It was just like that guy just felt utter serenity. When that spirit left his body or left his vicinity, he was at utter peace. It was like it was like he was walking in a desert for days without water, and he finally sipped a glass of water. It was as if what the young employee stated, it was as if he was gonna die if he didn't see her. That's how it felt. So anyway, we go back to the drawing board, and they changed the method of how they was gonna work to bring the young lady back. The owner of the store didn't have the liquid, he didn't have the powder, so he gave another alternative. So they made another alternative, and this time they put it together, and he went to work to bring back the lover. Now all of a sudden, After they work everything out, the employee's girlfriend calls him. They start talking for a bit. She's calling for asking stupid questions, things that she know the answers to already. So they get off the phone. She calls back again. She starts calling and calling and calling and calling. After the fact, then the employee reaches out to the owner of the gym and states that she's calling obsessively. The owner said, "You know what you should do? Don't pick up the phone, because it will build her thirst and yearn for you." So from him hearing this, he's just gonna try it. Man, she went from calling and calling and calling and calling to showing up weird hours of the night, obsessively, like, crying and begging to come over and to see the guy. It was as if they traded places. One moment he was bugging, and then when he changed things around, she became the person that became obsessed. So from there, he got what he wanted. He got back with his ex-girlfriend. End of story.